Hi, everybody. My name is Keelan Stucci. I am an employment counselor, career success specialist, whatever you'd like to call me. I help people get jobs. I have a double major from McMaster University in labor studies and indigenous studies. After that, I went to George Brown College to get a certificate in career development. And I've been in the field since 2019, so we're coming up on 5 years now. Currently, I work at a private career college called Juneau College of Technology. I work almost exclusively with web development students in my current role, but on the side, when I'm just doing freelance career services, I work with people from all different types of industries.
All right, so we help international students and alumni to stay, work, and succeed in Canada. Devant in French means to get in front of, so that is our aim for you, of course. We help you to get ahead of the competition and in front of employers so you can build your dream Canadian career. Log into your career support portal to jump.
Oh, I think Laura cut out. Is she freezing for anybody else?
Oh,
Yes.
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 Yeah.
Oh no. Okay. I will continue and hopefully she'll be back. Yeah, so really the goal of Devant is to help you get ahead of the competition and get in front of employers. Oh, Laura, are you back? Nope, she left. She's back? She's back? Is she here? She's here. Take it away, Laura. Sorry about the
Sorry.
technical difficulties, friends.
Yeah, I'll just start again. So yeah, we help international students and alumni stay, work, and succeed in Canada. Devant in French means to get in front of, and that's our aim for you. We help you to get ahead of the competition and in front of employers so you can build your dream career in Canada. Log into your career support portal to jump into the job search resources that we have. You can ask your career services person at the college or university about that, and us as well.
Yeah, perfect. And we will be using some of the career portal tools throughout the workshop tonight. So if you would like to go ahead and sign in so you can follow along, be my guest. If not, we can always watch the recording after and follow along that way.
Awesome. So before we get started, and like I said before, we encourage you to turn on your cameras and microphones. Participate with us. We'd love to see your face and hear you. So we are recording, of course. So it'll be shared by email after the sessions. You can also use the chat function to answer questions and ask questions at any time. So we'll be monitoring that as well. And you can register for future workshops by logging into your career support portal. All right, so we actually have a Get Hired at Home event, so to help you with the job search and things like that. So on February 1st and 2nd, we're going to have live question answers with company recruiters, virtual speed interviews, one-on-one, Devant's live networking cafe to connect with attendees and coaches. So I'll be there both days. I hope to see you there too. And we're having a live immigration question and answer with lawyers. So that'll be something you'd want to attend as well.
Amazing. Really, really great events. I have attended it in the past. Really great networking opportunities. And lots of employers looking to urgently hire. So great timing that you're coming to this workshop so we can get your resumes revamped for this networking event.
Okay, so for today, we're going to start with Devant's resume tools so that you can actually see how they work and you'll be able to use them for yourself. The second part is going to be a live resume review. So some people submitted their resumes. Don't worry if you didn't. A lot of the things that Keelan and I noticed were similar, which is good. So if we don't get to your resume, not to worry, you'll probably be covered anyway. So part three is bonus resume tips. And then the last part is if you have any questions or answers, we'll be happy to answer them for you.
Awesome. Thanks, Laura. Oh, I got ahead of myself. All right, thanks, Laura. Feel free to pop in if you have any tips. Laura has an HR background, so she's very good for speaking on like the employer recruiter side of things. So she can come in with tips whenever you have anything, Laura. Feel free.
Sounds good.
All right, so let's start off with some general best practices for resume writing in Canada. I know resumes differ from country to country. So how we traditionally write a resume in Canada might be very different from how you're used to writing a resume back in your home country. In Canada, very important to limit personal information. So I know in some countries it is common and expected and necessary to include your full address on your resume. In Canada, that is a big no-no. We do not do that. City and province is all you need location-wise on your resume. Um, don't put your full address, don't put your street number, don't put your street name or your postal code. You don't need any of that. The reason being is because when you're conducting a job search, you're going to be sending out probably dozens and dozens of applications, and you don't know who they're going to. Like obviously they're going to the company, but you don't know who's opening them. And basically we just don't want to advertise your home address to the dozens and dozens of companies that you're applying to. Just keep that information to yourself. All they need to know is your city. So like Toronto, Ontario, Guelph, Ontario, Victoria, BC, wherever you're located, even if it's a small town. So for example, I don't live directly in Toronto. I live about 30 minutes outside of Toronto. So on my resume, I just usually put Greater Toronto Area. I don't want to limit myself. I'm actually located in Oshawa right now. So I can get to Toronto pretty easily in my car or on the train, but I don't want to limit myself by putting just Oshawa, Ontario on my resume. The company I work for right now is based in downtown Toronto, so I just put Greater Toronto Area, and then I've got a bigger range of places to apply to. So we recommend not putting your full address, one, for privacy reasons, but two, because you might actually be limiting yourself by putting in a specific address. Okay? So when it comes to personal information on your resume, all you really need is contact information, email, phone number is recommended, but honestly, it is optional. Most hiring managers these days are going to send you an email. So if you don't feel super, super comfortable putting your phone number on your resume, it's not a huge deal. I would recommend it just so it's easy for them to contact you if they need to, but it's not mandatory. As long as you have your email there, you're good to go. Also, links. LinkedIn is super expected on resumes these days, so I would recommend email at least, phone number, your LinkedIn link, your name, your location, just city and province, and really that is all you need personal information wise. They just need to know who you are and how to get a hold of you and where you're located. Okay?
So we just have a good question in the chat. So someone just asked, what about when the address is required in the field of application?
Mm.
So like that's typically okay when it's like actually on an application from the company. But Keelan's also just talking about like we don't know where the resume is going, who's looking at it, and all that type of stuff. And also she just mentioned too, we don't want to like limit the opportunities. But yeah, when they actually have asked that question, you can answer it.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Laura. I totally missed that in the chat. Yeah, great answer. If it's sometimes companies will make you kind of like rehash your resume or input information. If it's asking for your resume, then absolutely, that's totally fine. I had another question. Is the province mandatory to write in the resume and city too? I would recommend putting some sort of location for ATS purposes. So, for those of you who are not aware, an ATS or an applicant tracking system is basically a piece of computer software that a lot of mid to large size companies use to scan resumes as they come in. And it's a computer. It's not a real person, so it can't read a resume like you and I can. It's basically going through your resume and scanning for certain information. And one of the things that it's going to be scanning for is location. So if it can't find a location, it might deduct points or like flag it as like missing information or as a red flag. So your resume might not get passed on to an actual human being to look at. So for that reason, I would recommend putting some sort of location. Also, just because a hiring manager wants to know. I know sometimes if the job is remote, it doesn't really matter where you're located, but they still kind of are expecting to see some sort of location. Um, if you're super uncomfortable with putting a city, you might be able to get away with just putting like Ontario or British Columbia, but I would recommend putting at least a city or like Greater Toronto area, the ATS is going to be looking at it. And once a human being looks at your resume, they're going to be expecting that as well. Okay, next step, number two is focus on accomplishments. This is one of the biggest issues that I see when I'm reviewing resumes. People make a bulleted list of tasks, so like actions that they do at their job. Manage customer complaints, fill database on computer, speak to clients, provide financial advice. This is a task list. This is just basically listing off job duties that you do in your job. And it means very, very little to employers. We want to focus on accomplishments. So take those tasks and turn them into accomplishments, accomplishment statements. So instead of just saying that you manage customer complaints and resolve customer disputes, which is a task, turn it into an accomplishment statement by adding in the actions that you take to complete that task and the results of that task. Whenever we can include number values, numerical values, statistics, percentages, money, anything like that, that really, really helps if you have it. But any sort of result is good. So we can take the task, which is manages customer complaints, and switch it into an accomplishment statement by adding an action, how you do that task, and the result, the outcome of that task. So instead of just saying manage customer complaints, we can make it say created an efficient customer grievance system to manage customer complaints, which improved customer satisfaction by 30% and reduced the number of customer disputes. Something like that. Do you see how that's much more powerful than just saying solves customer complaints or manage customer complaints? So whenever you have a task on your resume, like filled in database, make it into an accomplishment statement by adding in the action, how you did it, and the result, the outcome of your action. So instead of just filled in database, with employee information on Microsoft Excel spreadsheet, resulting in a 25% increase of workplace efficiency. Something like that. Like I said, whenever we can add in those number values, it makes a really, really big impact. Cool. Any questions about the difference between a task and an accomplishment on a resume? Ideally, every single one of your resume bullets should be an accomplishment statement rather than just a task. Won't this make resume have more pages? It can extend the length of your resume because your bullets will in general be longer than they would be if it just said like solves customer complaints. I would rather have you have fewer bullets that are more impactful as accomplishment statements than more bullets that are just very basic tasks. It's going to be a lot more impactful if you include the accomplishments. And remember that step four is be concise. Remember that we want to keep it as short as possible, no more than 2 pages realistically. And the purpose of a resume is really to just give your highlights to the employer so they're enticed to want to learn more about you. We don't have to tell your whole life story in a resume. That's what the interview is for. The interview is where you can get more in depth about yourself and about everything that you do on a daily basis at your job. Your resume is really just the highlight. It's kind of like when you're scrolling on Facebook and you see an article that has like the title and the article summary and it piques your interest, so you click on the article and read the rest of it. Your resume is like the article title and the summary, and then the interview is like the full article. So we want to be concise, maximum 2 pages. I love a 1-page resume, but I'm okay with 2 pages as well. Just strategically order it so everything that's the most important is on the first page, and make sure that things that are less important are on the second page if you're doing 2 pages.
So for the numbers too, I noticed like sometimes it's hard if you don't actually know what the percentage of like people you're helping or whatnot. But if you actually like have a rough estimate, like I help on average like 40 customers in a day, like that can be a number too, because you're not always going to have a percentage and be able to say that. Like ideally you would, but any sort of number you can like muster up is fine as well, or helpful if you don't have anything like percentage wise.
Yeah, thank you, Laura. And absolutely, approximates are okay. Like, you don't have to say helped exactly 32 customers per day. Like, approximate values are totally fine. I helped someone recently find a number amount. They worked in landscaping, and I asked them if they knew how much their employer charged clients for 1 hour of their landscaping services. And then we took that number, multiplied it by how many hours they worked in a week, multiplied by how many weeks they worked in a year, which gave us an approximate amount of money that they made their employer per year. And it was like $20,000 or something. Or like $20,000 a month, we said. So the accomplishment statement, instead of just like, did landscaping duties for clients, became like generated employer an average of $20,000 per month by completing landscaping duties for clients. So any sort of numbers you have really makes it stand out. And any employer is going to love to read that you can make them $20,000 in a month. Sorry, I skipped to number 4, but number 3, very, very similar. Create a tailored resume for each posting. So every single time you're applying to a job, you should be making sure that your resume screams that you're the right candidate for that job. So we don't want to make the recruiter or the hiring manager read between the lines. We don't want them to be wondering like, they didn't say they know Microsoft Excel, but they're an administrative assistant, so they probably know Microsoft Excel. Like, we don't want to have to make them guess. We just want to spell it out for them. If the job posting is asking for somebody who knows Microsoft Excel and you do know it, make sure it's listed in your resume. If they want somebody who has experience with I don't know, working with clients and delivering customer service, make sure that's in your resume. Like, we don't want them to make any guesses. We want to make sure that your resume really spells out for them that you have all of the qualities that are listed in the job posting. Anything to add, Laura, before I go to the next slide?
Someone just asked, is there going to be an example for a resume? And yes, the answer is yes. So we have a few that were submitted. The great thing is that some of the sort of things that could be improved on were very similar in all of them. So you should be able to take away lots of good things, even if we don't get to yours specifically. But yes, we will be definitely reviewing one.
Awesome. Thanks, Laura.
No problem.
You're doing great at keeping an eye on the chat. All right, I'm gonna hop over to the Devant website and quickly go through some of Devant's resume tools. There's a resume builder on Devant, and there's also a resume scanner on Devant, which are super, super helpful and useful. Give me 2 seconds to hop on over. I have too many tabs open, as always. Oh, where am I? There I am. I found it. Okay, so hopping over to the Devant websites. For those of you who don't have access to the Devant website, ask the career services team at your school or send us an email or a DM. We can help you have access. You do need to have an account to access these services, but you should get one for free if you're registered at most of the colleges that you attend. Okay, first, I want to go over the Get Hired Masterclass because there's a lot of good information about resumes in here that we don't have time to cover this evening. That's going to be courses and certificates, Get Hired Masterclass, and all of the resume content is in step 2 in the preparation phase. There are, I believe, 3 different videos for the resume section, 4 different videos. So there's like a 5-minute video on different types of resumes, covering chronological resumes, skills-based resumes, functional resumes, combination resumes. There's all different types of formats for resumes. This video will tell you which one is best for you, depending on where you're at in your career. Another 5-ish minute video about how to target resumes for specific jobs, another video on common resume mistakes, and then a video on the applicant tracking system, which I mentioned before. That's that computer system that some companies use to scan resumes. This will just give you more information about it and what types of things that it looks for. So like I said, lots of really, really good videos in this master class that cover a lot of resume topics that we do not have time to cover this evening. Next thing I want to show you are the Devant resume tools, specifically the resume builder and the resume scanner. So let's do the resume builder first. A really common problem that some people have when they're creating a resume is, I'm sure we felt this way in school. You like open a Word document or you open a Google document and you're just like staring at a blank sheet and you don't know where to start. Starting a resume from scratch can be really, really daunting. So this is an excellent tool that basically builds it for you and it automatically makes it ATS friendly. Of course, it's going to be computer friendly because it's built by a computer. So you just click starts, fill in some information. Ooh, it auto-filled it for me. Amazing. So your first name, last name, phone number, email, address, LinkedIn profile. It'll also give you like little tips. Ooh, so for example, it's telling you, this is a great tip actually. It's saying use a sensible professional email rather than a funny email. It gives you a link for a LinkedIn profile, and all of these things are optional. So if you don't have a LinkedIn profile, you can just skip it. They also give you like little videos of like tips to include in your resume. Profile statements, this is basically the thing that's going to come up right under your name on your resume. Brief summary of you just to grab the employer's attention so they want to learn more. Next is the education. So you can add multiple schools and universities. So once you fill in this section, there will be the option to add another one if you have more than one diploma or more than one degree. If you are currently in school, in dates, you would do like 2020 to present, or you could even do expected graduation 2023 or something like that. Training also looks a little bit different. So like if you took a course or something, you can put that in here if you've won any awards. Next section is work, very similar to education, job title, employer, employer description, dates, responsibilities for the bullet points, and an achievement section for all of your wonderful achievements. Skills section, interests, totally optional. I'm a fan of interests on resumes because it makes you feel like more of like a real human being and less of just a piece of paper. But I'd say that it depends on the industry. If you're applying to be like a doctor or a lawyer or something in like a very professional type setting, they're probably going to expect a more traditional resume. If you're applying for like a customer service role or something in the tech industry, it's going to be a lot more laid back. They're going to want to see your interest. They're going to want to see personality in your resume. And adding an interest in hobbies is a great way to do that. It does give you the option to include references on your resume. I actually wouldn't recommend putting references directly on your resume. If you want to, you can do references available upon request or something like that. But remember, like I was saying, we don't want to put your address on your resume because you're going to be sending out your address to like dozens of people. Same thing about your references. I don't think your reference would appreciate you giving out their phone number and email to like dozens of different employers. So I would hold on to your references until you are asked for them. And then others, like if you speak multiple languages, any sort of personal achievements, things like that. And you can also reorder your resume in any section that you like. So once you click the download button, it gives you a bunch of different templates that you can choose. And it gives you like a little overview of what type of template you can choose. And you can download as many as you like. You can download all 6 templates if you like, and then take a look at them after. So basically, once you click download, it's automatically going to format your resume. The different template that you choose, all the information is going to be the same. It's just going to change the order that the sections are in. But really, really fantastic tool. If you haven't played around with it, even if you have a resume, just go ahead and play around with it. It's really, really cool, very intuitive. And like I said, you know that it's going to be ATS friendly. You know a computer is going to be able to read it because a computer literally built it. Very cool tool. Questions in the chats?
Yes, so yeah, I was just talking to the one person. So if you have an MBA and the job doesn't require that high qualification, should you leave it out? Will you be seen as overqualified? So yes, basically, yes, it can be. Something that's interesting though is sometimes like you might want to initially leave it out, but if you're talking to the employer and they're like, oh, we have room to grow and all this type of stuff, then I would bring it up. But initially, it depends on what you're also applying for. So like if it is actually something like more of a let's say secretarial job with like some accounting as opposed to actually being an accountant, then that's definitely something that you want to consider. But yeah, that can actually be an issue. I did do a resume for someone with an MBA before, and he was just trying to find a job that was more like a little less intense. So we did leave that part off that he had an MBA, just so he wouldn't appear as overqualified. So yeah, that's definitely something to think about, just based on the position you're applying for sure.
Awesome. Thanks, Laura. Yeah, I agree. I think it depends on the position that you're applying for. Like if you're applying for like an admin assistant role, you're probably going to look a little bit overqualified. But if the job posting is asking for a bachelor's degree, or something like that, I would I would definitely include all of your education. Even if you have a master's and it's only asking for a bachelor's degree, I would include that. It's only if you're applying to like Laura said, like something more entry level that I would leave it off just because they might be wondering like why are you applying for this? You might look overqualified. Where can we get this tool for the CV? Ooh, it is on the Devant website. I will drop it in the chat right now. Laura, were there any other questions that I missed?
There are actually quite a few,
Oh,
which
okay.
is great. We like to get some questions.
Yeah, no, I love
So
it.
is it recommended to include senior secondary education along with the ongoing university? That's a great question. It kind of depends as well, like what you're applying to, but if you have post-secondary already, then you do not need to. But if you're like just completing it now, you can. So Keelan, I'm not sure what your thoughts on that are, but that's kind of what I think.
Yeah, sorry, what did it say? Senior education?
Yeah, so high school, I believe that.
Oh, if you're, I would say you could probably leave high school out if you have additional education. So, for example, if you're currently in university or you're currently in college, it's kind of self-explanatory that you have a high school diploma or a GED. So, depending on how long ago you graduated as well, I'd say you can leave it off if you have additional education after that.
So we also have one about references. So should we include our references from our home country or prioritize references from Canada? So that's a great question, but it kind of depends as well. Also, you want to make sure the person's fluent in English, I think, too, if you're looking for them to be a reference. But it also depends on what type of job you're looking for. So if someone like, let's say from your home country can like say that you like do have experience in accounting and all that sort of thing, and you're looking for an accounting position, then that'd be good. But if you're looking for like, let's say a customer service job in Canada and you have like some Canadian references, that'd probably be easiest. Um, yeah, I'm not sure what you think, Keelan,
No,
but that's
I
sort of what I think.
totally, I totally agree. If you have Canadian references, definitely include them. But like Laura said, if you have more job relevant experience from your home country, I don't think there's any harm in including home country references. The only issue is that it's just a little bit trickier to like pick up the phone and call them. So they probably have to email them or something like that. My cat has joined us. Can you see her in the background?
You can see the ears. So we
Okay,
also have another one that's just should we include part-time work in the work history? And yes, absolutely. I don't think there's any question about that for Keelan and I.
for sure.
So yeah. Okay, but then how do we justify the gap? So also
Oh, is
what
this
kind
about
of
the
gap?
MBA? I think this is the same person that asked the MBA question. So they're saying if they don't
Okay.
include the MBA, how do they justify the employment gap?
So also what I've done as well is and Keelan, I'm not sure if you can like attest to this, but you can also undersell it, let's say. So you don't have to write like every top thing you did at the company, let's say. So let's say my guy from the MBA, he like did like some regular sort of small like accounting or payroll stuff. I'd write that, but I wouldn't be like led 8 people in a meeting, right? So just sort of underplay what you can, I think, in that case.
Manpreet, can you give us some more context? Sorry, Manpreet, are
Yeah,
you the one with the MBA? Is that you?
yeah, no, I don't have the MBA question, but I
Okay,
do have the same query because I'm also MSc chemistry, and most of the jobs they make me look like I'm overqualified. But if I go by like if I go and remove my master's from my CV, then how do I justify those 2 years? Like, what did I do during those 2 years?
what type of jobs are you applying for?
I'm interested in customer service right now in
Okay,
retail sector.
okay,
So because I'm from education background, so that's one of my queries itself because I come from education background, although I dealt with clients and a lot of skills which are required in customer service, they overlap.
yeah,
Because at the end of the
absolutely.
day, you need to have good people management skills, interpersonal and, vendor management, time management. So all that is common, but it that's my question too, because I come from academic background, and although I've worked with some of the biggest MNCs back home in India, so but I don't have the customer service retail sector experience.
When did you do, sorry, we'll go back to the master's first. When did you complete your master's? What year
It
did you
was
graduate?
long ago. It was long ago, Keelan. It was in 2007, and I hold 15 years of work experience from corporate.
So for the gap that's going to be in your resume from 2005 to 2007, it doesn't matter because I wouldn't recommend going back more than 10 years in your resume anyway for work experience. So they're not going to notice that there was a gap there.
Okay.
In terms of how to talk about transferable skills from academic background to customer service background, I would recommend doing more of a skills-based resume, which
Okay.
prioritizes your skills at the top and then your work
Okay.
experience underneath. So really highlight all of the skills you have that would make you excellent in customer service and retail and put that at the top of your resume and then work experience underneath.
Okay. Thank you so much. Can I share my resume right now because I somehow missed sharing the resume.
We have, I think we have, I think we have quite a few to go through if we have the time, but if we have the time, you can drop it in the chat and we'll go through it, okay? For the sake of time, I
Thank
want
you.
to quickly hop over to the resume scanner tool. Um, really good tool as well, especially if you're not using the resume builder. It's basically an ATS simulator. So it's an ATS built into the Devant website that's going to scan your resume exactly like an ATS would. I've got an example resume that I can pop in. Where is it? Example resume. Did it work? No, it did not. Okay, I will have to click browse and actually try to find. Oh, okay, it's the first one. Good. All right, so you basically put in your resume, you get instant feedback on it from a computer. So you know exactly how an ATS is going to read your resume. Very good tool, gives you some useful feedback.
So we have a question here that's just about different industries. So like someone saying like if I'm from an engineering industry and I want to go into a construction industry, what I would say is definitely try to use as many transferable skills as possible. Also, those industries are kind of close actually. So anything that can be sort of relevant as well is great. Any sort of experience. You don't really have to explain too much why you're switching an industry. You can also include that in your cover letter, but if you have like any sort of transferable or relevant skills, then industry employers are going to want to see that.
Awesome. Thanks, Laura.
No problem.
All right. I just uploaded an example resume. It's giving us a score of 77%. You can see that it's checking a total of 59 things. We passed 46 of them. We failed 13. So let's see what we failed. I think this is very interesting because it's asking for a Word document instead of a PDF. Some ATSs are going to prefer Microsoft Word, but honestly, I would argue that PDF is the most up-to-date resume format that you should be using. What do you think, Laura? Do you agree with that?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I think it's interesting that this is saying that PDF is not correct. I actually do not like when people send me Word document resumes because I do not have Microsoft Word on my computer and I have to open them on Google Docs and the formatting gets all messed up. So I like PDF. Most ATSs, most modern ATSs are also going to like PDF. I know it's confusing because this says that they don't like PDF, but it does say your CV is your PDF document, which can be read by most ATSs. Okay, it doesn't like my file name because I called it example resume. So ideally, you should call it like Keelan Stucci resume, the actual file name. There's some stuff that it doesn't like. So, I actually really like this tool because it gives you like grammar and spelling issues. So it's finding some spelling mistakes in things like SumoBot or Minitab because those are software names and not the name of real tools. It's also giving you grammar issues. So this is just a really, really good tool to use when you feel like your resume is ready to go, but you just want a final check before you start sending it out. Okay? Pretty intuitive, pretty self-explanatory, really, really great tool. Now, because we only have 20 minutes left, it is time to review some of the resumes that were submitted. Before I start sharing my screen, I want to make sure that the people who submitted them are here. Is Philippe here?
Yes.
Amazing. All right, Philippe. Are you still good if we review your resume?
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. Okay. I'll go ahead and share my screen and bring it up. Cool. All right. This is Philippe's resume. We have blocked out your phone number and email and your LinkedIn for privacy reasons and your last name. Okay. It's my first impression from your resume that you are looking for a role as a full stack developer. Is that correct? Is that still your job goal?
Yes.
Okay. I would recommend doing some sort of personal branding. So I would actually recommend right under your name, I would do Philippe. And then on the next line, I would do full stack web developer or something like that. So as soon as somebody looks at your resume, they can see right off the bat exactly who you are and what type of job that you're looking for. I never want somebody to have to like guess what industry you're looking to get into. I inferred that it was probably a web developer because I can see from your former experience that you used to be you are a full stack web developer, but I don't want any guesses. So I would put like the job title or your ideal job title right here under your name. I like your bullet points. Right off the bat, we've got years of experience. We've got a lot of hard skills in there. I like how you've listed your tech stack, some soft skills in there. This one's I'd say this one's a little bit too short. I would talk more about data structures and algorithms that you know. But I really, really like this bullet point when you talk about years of experience in your tech stack in there. Next section is work experience from Columbia and from Brampton. Okay. So This is interesting because your current job says January 2020 to present, which makes me think that you're still living in Colombia. But your second job is Algoma University in Brampton, which are you still working at this role in Colombia, or is it remote?
I'm working remotely, and the other one was just lab assistant.
Okay, so instead of putting Colombia here, I would put remote work or remote or something like that, just because this is giving me a little bit of confusion. This looks like you used to live in Canada, you used to live in Brampton, and then you moved back to Colombia. So it's just causing a little bit of confusion. So I would put remote here instead of Colombia. Bullet points look really, really good for this one though. 12 clients, we've got quantifiables there. MERN tech stack, amazing, very good. REST APIs. Really, really good job at talking about all of the hard skills that you have, which I know people hiring web developers really value. The only thing that I would add, instead of just saying 12 clients, name drop if you can. If you've ever worked for like a big name client that people are gonna know, I would name drop that in there. So like built personalized web applications for 12 clients, including ABC company or something like that. Also, the bullet points for this are very, very good. The bullet point for this is not great. So I need more of this energy in this job as well. So talk a little bit more about what you did in this role. One bullet point isn't enough. Education looks good. One thing that I would add actually is both for your work experience and your education, flip the order of these lines. So the job title is more important than the company that you did it at. So we always want to put job title first, followed by company. Same thing with education. Bachelor's degree in computer science is more meaningful than where you got the degree. So I would just flip the order of those. We always want to put most important thing first all throughout your resume. Skills are good, but I would actually probably take this skills section and bump it up right before your work experience section. I wouldn't recommend that for every job, but for a web development job where your tech stack and your skills are really important, I would put that up more towards the top.
I noted the same thing for that as well.
Yeah. Languages, I'd say that you could keep towards the bottom unless it was listed in the job description that they wanted someone who could speak Spanish or French. In that case, I would recommend putting it more towards the top as well. But overall, Philippe, really, really great resume. Another thing that I would add specifically for web developer, if you have any web development projects that you can share, I would add a project section with hyperlinks to some of the websites that you've built.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
Cool. I hope that was helpful. Thelma, is Thelma here?
Yes.
Hi, Thelma. How are you?
Fine, thank you.
Cool. Are you still good if we review your resume?
Yeah, good.
Awesome. Laura, did you have any tips for this one?
Yeah, I did write down a few things. Yeah, the technical down below, you have the technical skills, I believe. I believe that that's yours. Yeah, I would move those up more towards the top. We usually have like a skills and qualifications section that's usually generally at the very top. So I would move that up as well. You also kind of want more accomplishment statements for that, or just a little more expansion on what you've done or how you've gained those skills. Because I think you just have like, I think it was like teamworking or communication. You could just say communication skills gained through customer service experience, something like that, just to make it a little more relevant as well. So any like sort of education that you got to validate those skills as well is great. So that was the first thing I noted. And
Awesome.
then
Thanks, Laura.
Yeah,
do you
no
want to keep
problem.
going, or do you want me to add some?
You can scroll to the top and I'll see what else we've got here. Yeah, so the certifications I'd probably bump down a little bit. Like as Keelan was saying before too, the summary is good, probably depending on the industry. If you scroll down again a little bit, yeah, some of these bullet points are pretty good as well. It's just again you just want to move over the dates for sure. And yeah, some of the formatting, but we think that's also because of how the link was sent, but there's not too much. There are a lot of points in some places, so you're gonna want to condense them a little bit. But other than that, it's quite good, I think. So, Keelan, do you have any other suggestions?
Yeah, that's a great point, Laura. I think some of the formatting in these is messed up because they've all been copied and pasted into one Word document. So if your resume formatting usually doesn't look like this, it's not your fault. I think it's because it was just copy and pasted over. But I agree with everything Laura said. I would actually switch the order of your certification and licenses section with your skills section because I think skills is more important and I want to bump that towards the top. Um, everything else Everything else looks good. Let me check the dates. Exactly the same thing Laura said. I would recommend, just for the sake of reading, I would take this and bump it over to the right side here, just so it makes it a little bit easier to read. But this is good with the job title first, followed by the company and the location afterwards. Some nice quantifiable number amounts in your bullet points. Love that. I think your resume is good. I think all the content's there. I think it's just about flipping the order, putting yourselves in the shoes of an employer, asking what would an employer find most valuable, and putting those things more towards the top of your resume. I always say that we want to put the most important info at the top, and in descending order, like every section should be a little bit less important than the next one. So in your case, I would do summary, skills section, work experience. Same thing with volunteer. You could actually merge together your volunteer experience and your work experience. They don't need to be two different sections. So this could be the first job listed in work experience, and you could just do international students administrative council, and then in brackets put volunteer, so it's clear that's a volunteer role, but it doesn't have to be in two separate sections. And this could also help because it'll show that you're currently located in Sarnia, instead of Nigeria. But other than that, I think it's great. I think it's just about changing the order a little bit. Thanks for being so brave and sharing your resumes as well. We appreciate it.
We were really impressed too. The
Yes.
content was excellent. So someone did also have a question that I think is really good for everyone to hear as well.
Mhm.
So someone said that they don't, that they're going into a different career, so they don't have any basically hard skills that they have. Well, and then this person actually thinks they don't have any skills at all to transfer, but that's not exactly true. So in every single industry, you have to have communication skills. So you're going to want to talk about that and maybe how you gained it through some sort of work experience that you have or through education. Every type of job wants you to be able to work independently and in teams probably at some point. So saying that as well and how you have been able to do that is something to look for as well. So there are a lot of skills that you might not think of off the top that you have that are necessarily hard skills, but soft skills are really important as well. And actually, industries are looking for those types of things because soft skills are not easy to teach, but hard skills you can eventually teach. So don't underestimate those types of things as well, for sure.
Yeah, love that, Laura. I love your point about how soft skills are harder to teach than hard skills. Also, you can include skills that you gained in school. Just because you've only gained them in school and you've never actually used them in the workplace, it doesn't matter. Employers don't care where you got the skills. They don't care if you got them by doing hobbies or by joining a club or by volunteering or by doing it in a real job or by learning it at school. They don't care where you got the skills. As long as you have the skills, they are happy. They don't care where you got them. All right, let's do one more really quickly before we wrap up. Bertha, is Bertha here?
Yes, I'm here.
Bertha's here. All right, let's take a look at your resume quickly. Summary looks good. Are you still looking to find a role in accounting?
Yes,
Okay.
but not immediately.
Okay, what type of job are you looking for more immediately?
Mainly part-time,
Okay.
customer service or cashier related
Okay.
industry in the retail industry.
Okay, so I would change your summary section instead of starting it off by saying that you're an accountant. I would take that out just because if you apply to like a retail customer service job, they might be like, why is an accountant applying to this non-accounting role? So I just want to limit confusion. So I would change that and really just highlight your experience, things like leadership abilities, work ethic, adaptability, interpersonal skills. Those are all things that are super, super valuable in customer service and retail. I would just
Okay.
take out like the financial services and the accounting bit if you're applying to non-accounting related jobs.
Okay.
Supervised office and personal journey manager. For this bullet point, a really easy way to add numbers would be to say how many people that you manage. So like supervised the office and 10 personnel during manager absences. I would say these are a lot of tasks. Going back to what I said at the beginning, I would recommend adding in more action. So how you did the task and then the result of that task, like the result of your actions.
Okay.
Good. Your work history is pretty extensive as well, so it's going on to 3 pages. I would probably just do 3 jobs.
Okay.
Just to shorten it up a little bit. And especially if you're not applying to an accounting job, you can take out some of this accounting intern, accounting assistant stuff. Skill is good, but again, for these, I would probably take it out because they're all related to accounting. So for like a retail job, you don't necessarily need them. And education looks good, but I would probably just keep your bachelor's degree if you're applying to more of like a retail job. I would take out some of this like more specific accounting training.
Okay.
And that'll shorten up your resume a lot. And like we were talking about before, keep you from looking overqualified. So of course, when you're ready to get back into the accounting industry and the finance industry, that's when we're going to want to include all those things. But for right now, take out all the stuff about accounting, just focus on how you're a wonderful, friendly, interpersonal person who's going to be great at customer service.
Okay.
Yeah, so
I'll
keep
look
both
at it.
resumes. This one will be like one will be for customer service and one will be for accounting. So you don't have to like keep changing your resume every single time. So have 2 on file. That'd be easiest for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Thanks for clarifying that, Laura. Yeah, I don't want you to delete this resume and then have to rewrite it again. Just create a new one with all of the customer service stuff.
Just copy and paste it, rename it, and then edit it as you need, okay?
Okay. Thank you.
All right, we've got about 4 minutes left, so I'm going to pass it over to Laura to close us out. And while she's doing that, I'm going to post our LinkedIn links in the chat, if that's okay with you, Laura.
Yeah,
Because I know
for
there's
sure.
tons of questions that we did not get around to answering, and I want to make sure that you have our contact info so you can ask them afterwards.
So someone was actually just asking too about the resume writing service. So I did let them know that we do one-on-one coaching as well. So like basically with that, it's like a 1-hour session and you can ask us kind of about anything career related. So like let's say you had a few resume questions, but then you also wanted to talk about like interviews or anything else like job searching wise, we could do that too. With this service up here, it's a writing service. So like the team basically helps you to create the resume. So they basically I think they do put it together for you. It's a one-time fee of $79, which is the lowest I've ever seen it anywhere before. So if you're thinking about doing it, now might be the time because yeah, that price is pretty low, as low as it can go, basically. So definitely recommend that. And then we have one more slide. Yes, so our upcoming events. So we have a workshop on how to ace a virtual interview. And then we have the February 1st and 2nd Get Hired at Home event. So stay tuned for that and think about any questions you have for us then too. We have a workshop about finding a job in Canada on February 8th. And on February 15th, we have a Devant Career Cafe. It's mainly a networking one with Michelle and Kate, but if you have any career related questions, definitely feel free to ask them then as well.